Good morning, Year 2, and welcome to our next shared reading session. So today we will be looking at the next 2 pages of our shared reading book, and we will be using our reading skills of retrieve and inference again. Now, you might remember that this means we're going to retrieve, so find and get answers from the text or from the pictures and then write them down. And we're also going to be inferring from the text using our inference skills. And this means looking really carefully at the pictures, reading the words of the book really carefully, reading between the lines and finding clues to see if we can come up with answers to questions and come up with our own opinions and our own views of what the story might be about, what might happen, and our own opinions about what's going to happen in the story. So let's take a look at our next 2 pages. Okay, so here are the next 2 pages in the book that we're going to be looking at today. And the first thing I'd like you to do is look carefully at both pictures and just have a think about what you can see. So pause the video now. You might want to write a list, that's up to you, of all the items and the things that you can see. Off you go. Okay, welcome back. So hopefully you might have written a list about what you can see, or you may just have it all in your head. That's absolutely fine. So what can I see? Well, to start with, I can see some flowers and some plants at the bottom of both pages. I can see a house on what looks like a grassy cliff. I think it's a grassy cliff because I can also see the sea just behind it, and I can see the sky above it as well. I can see some birds that are just above that house. I can see some people as well. And I can see lots of little houses in the background. They're sort of bending round the sea, so it looks like there's a bit of a cliff there. And there's a road as well with some people walking along it and a few more birds. There's lots of buildings, and right at the top, when I can at the back of the houses, I can just make out a very strange looking building. I'm not sure what it is, but it doesn't look like a house. It looks like a different sort of building. I wonder how many of you noticed that building as well. It's just here, that one there. Okay, what I'd like you to do now is to just take a few minutes to look carefully again at the pictures and think about who you can see. So we've said there are people, but let's think a bit more carefully about these people. Who are they? So pause the video now and think about who you can see. Again, you might want to make a list. Okay, welcome back. So looking carefully at my picture, the main character that I can see on this page is quite bold and he's quite big because he's right in the centre of the 2 pages. That looks to me like it might be Dad from yesterday. If you remember, we looked at the kitchen picture and I thought maybe it was a mum and a dad stood near the doorway of the kitchen. Mum was holding some sort of box. We thought maybe it might be a packed lunch or something like that. And it looks to me now as though Dad is actually holding that here in his hand. He's also waving, so I'm not sure where he's going, but I wonder if he's on his way to work. Now, moving over to this side, I can see this lady again. We've mentioned her before, and she's waving as well. And there's another gentleman here, so I think maybe she's waving goodbye to this gentleman. And he's dressed in a very similar way to our Dad here in the main part of the picture. So he's got a hat on, he's got like what we would call a checked or patterned shirt on. He's got some trousers on, and he's also holding a little bag. Now, I don't know whether that's his lunch or whether that's like maybe a toolbox or something like that. Maybe he puts things in there that he might need for work if that's where he's going. Further down the picture here, just to the right, we've got some more men, and they all look to be wearing very similar clothes to our Dad here. They've all got hats on. They all seem to have the hands in their pockets, and they're all walking along with these little bags here. So whether again that's their lunches or their toolkits, we're not sure. But they all seem to be walking in the same direction. So what I'd like you to do now is just to have a few minutes to think about where you think they might be going. Pause the video now. Okay, welcome back. So we did touch on this a little bit before about where they might be going, because we thought about what they were carrying. Now, I think that they might be going to work, but they might not be. You might have other ideas. You might have other views on where you think they might be going and why. But it looks to me as though they might be going to work. I don't know where they might work, but it looks as though they're all walking together towards the town. And I'm wondering maybe if they're going towards this funny looking building here. I don't know. But what I can see is that they are all wearing very similar clothes, and we talked about their hats and their patterned shirts. But Dad here, you can see, has got some really quite big boots on. And here, this part of the toe, that looks like they're steel toe-capped shoes. So those are boots that have got hardened toes, like metal in the shoe to protect your toes. So I wonder if maybe they work somewhere where they have to use their hands a lot. Maybe that might actually be a toolbox and not a lunchbox. We'll have to wait and see. But I don't think they would all be dressed like that if they were all going to work and going to work in an office. I think they'd probably, if they were working in an office, they might be wearing a nice smart suit, maybe a nice smart tie, something like that. And they're not wearing that, are they? So I think maybe they work somewhere where it's a bit more relaxed, and maybe they have to work with their hands. Okay, we've looked really carefully at our pictures, so let's now have a look at our words. On our first page, the word say. It goes like this: house, road, grassy cliff, sea. And town spreads out this way and that. Okay, I'm going to show you now your written work for today. And as you can see, it's got a picture of the 2 pages of the book on it, and it's got the writing as well. So as you're trying to answer these questions in your exercise books at home, you can look at the picture and that will help you. So our first question is, in what order would we find these places? Road, sea, grassy cliff, and house. So what I'm asking you to do is write me a full sentence, if you can, to tell me the order you can see these items. Look carefully at the pictures, but also look at the words for this. This is using our retrieval skills. So look at the words carefully. The author tells us in the order that we're going to find these items. Okay, so look carefully for those. Number 2, what birds do you think might be seen flying in the sky? So you've got to think about where the picture is taken. What's the setting of our story? What sort of birds might you see there? And number 3, where is Dad going? Now that's entirely up to you to come up with your own view. I know we've had a good chat about it, looking at the clothes they're wearing, looking at the picture and the houses and the funny buildings. So you have a think yourself. You may or may not agree with me, and you need to write me a full sentence to tell me where Dad is going. Now let's look at our full sentences, because we do need to be careful when we're writing to make sure that we're answering the questions as fully as we can. So the first question is, in what order would we find these places? So number 1 in your yellow book, we would find these places in this order. And then I just want you to list, please, all of those places that we've been given. So road, sea, grassy cliff, and house. Read the book carefully, look at the words for that question, please. Number 2, what birds do you think might be seen flying in the sky? Okay, so I think birds flying in the sky will be, tell me the type of bird that you think it might be. I'm not sure they're robins, really. They look a lot bigger than robins. I don't think you'll find a robin in that area. I'm not sure whether they'd be blue tits either. I don't think they'll be eagles because they don't look that big to be an eagle. And I definitely don't think they look like swans. So have a think about it. What sort of bird might you see near the seaside, near our setting of our story? Now, number 3, where is Dad going? I think Dad is going to. And you finish that sentence off for me, giving me your opinion. Okay, well, I look forward to receiving all of your responses on the dojo shortly. Thank you.